Yes.
Yes.
It was a lot quieter than it is now,
Yeah.
but it was a great place to live.
Yeah, it was neighborhood type fun group.
Actually, I was born in a building on the public square. My grandparents lived there and had, at that time, what they called a rooming house or a boarding house. And I was actually born in that rooming house on the square. No, we lived in Belleville, but not with my grandparents. We lived about 2 blocks away from them. And we lived on West A Street, which is now a parking lot.
I lived on South 3rd Street with my grandparents. My mother and my sister and I lived with my grandparents on the 500 block of South 3rd.
My parents were, my father's name was Clarence, but he doesn't just live here right then. And my mother's name is Lorraine, Lorraine Herman.
And my mother's name was Teresa, and my father's name was Earl, but he also lived out of town. They were divorced years ago, and so he wasn't with us. I lived with my grandparents, Percy and Irene Miller.
I know
I have a sister that passed away a few years ago down in Florida, but named Vera. She was about 3 years older than I am.
Well, it was busy. My mother worked. She had was a cook in a restaurant for years, and later on, she opened what was called Lorraine's Pie Shop in Belleville, and she baked pies for several of the restaurants, including like Fisher's and different ones in Belleville. So that was what she did.
Well, let's see. My mother, she worked it was actually for the city or the township in Belleville. You know, she was with the relief office for years, and my grandfather, he was a policeman with the city of Belleville. And my grandmother, she just stayed home and did all the cooking and everything. But my sister, she worked on Scott Air Force Base before she got married and moved away, but that's basically it. My grandma used to do a lot of cooking. Chicken and dumplings, I think, was my favorite.
Well, my mom did a lot of cooking too, but she cooked in a restaurant, so a lot of times when she would get off work sooner than taking me home, we would just eat at the restaurant. So I got used to eating in restaurants, and we still eat out a lot. It's Steele's Drugstore. Used to have a bar in there, I guess, a food bar or whatever, and we did eat there a lot because that was just handy. Well, I went to Cathedral starting out, and then I went to St. Teresa's School in Belleville, and high school was Notre Dame Academy in Belleville. I know that there was one teacher that I really liked. It was Sister Marisia, and she was a Notre Dame nun, and she was very, very kind, but for the most part, most of the nuns were they were very kind, but they were very strict.
Cathedral grade school also. Let's see, and I went to Cathedral High School, and played all the sports in high school. Basketball. Well, it was pretty good, I guess. Kind of hard to say.
Oh, yes. The awful gym suits, I hated them. They were really ugly. But the uniforms were fine because, back then, we didn't have a whole lot of money to be buying a lot of clothes. So the uniforms that we wore every day to school was really very helpful, and they weren't really pretty, but everybody knew who you were coming from. No, not too much out at Notre Dame. I was in the Drum and Bugle Corps in Belleville, in the Bellettes. Well, at the time we were in school, it seemed like we were going to be there forever, but then when I look back, that 4 years went really quick. I remember when President Kennedy was shot. I was at home. We had 2 children, I think, at that time. And I remember I was cleaning the living room floor and had the TV on, and it came on there that President Kennedy had been shot. And at that point, I think that was the end of cleaning the floor. I sat down on the floor and just watched.
Well, I worked at Golden Dip out at Melstad at that time before I got on the police department, and it was, I think I was coming home, and I had some gal ran into me in the car. I had an accident because of all this going on, and that's how I basically remember a lot of it. But that's pretty much what it was. But it was pretty devastating at that time because, like I said, we found out about it while I was at work. None of my family was in the military. My dad never went into service, and the only one that went in was me. Well, I spent 2 years in the Army in the 8th Infantry Division. I was over in Germany for a year and a half. It wasn't during the war, but it was, between Korea and Vietnam. I was in 56 to 58. Where did I work at? Golden Dip. So I was there until I applied for the police department. That's when I went on the police department. "29 years. Well, there's a lot of, I don't know how to pinpoint anything, but I was with the major case squad and I saw a lot of things going on there, and because we used to go to different cities, when I'd get called out for different situations, murders of certain times.
Well, my first job was I worked for an attorney in Belleville, and I guess over the years, I had a couple different jobs. When the kids were little, I was at home, but then, there was just different places. I worked for cable TV when it first opened. I was their office manager for Continental Cablevision. And I think we had like 18 or 20 subscribers at that time. So it was a very, very busy place. I met him at a dance, but he was there to he had just gotten out of the service. So I got him when he was really...
I just got home from overseas a day before or 2 days before that.
So he was pretty vulnerable at that point.